Greetings, audience. It's Joel Grinds time. So, lean in and listen up as the topic is ground to a fine point. Today on the show, we'll be discussing video games and story. And we will also be playing Final Fantasy in order to survive the next ordeal in our sister series, Joel Adventures. There we go. So, today, we're going to start off by going on a little walk. You may have noticed that I'm not doing my radio voice for Joel Grinds anymore. Reason being, because nobody liked it but me. And considering all the negative feedback I got about it, I decided to just drop that altogether and just be myself on one of my shows. Not trying to, any extra anything. We're just being Joel here. Just being Joel. Alright, here we go. So, we're going to head over to the area known as, the Monsters Peninsula, or the Peninsula Power, some people call it. Whatever you want to call it. It's an area where there's some really strong monsters and be able to level up really fast. I was actually not going to do any more Joel Grinds until a couple more episodes of Joel Adventures had passed, but I started doing a new episode, and I got totally killed by the next boss. So here we are. I'm going to get over to the peninsula before we start on our topic, because I want to be able to see where I'm going and be able to walk around and such. And I feel that if I'm trying to fight and walk around and read off my notes at the same time, it's just going to be ridiculous. So we're going to get over here. This is going to be the town where our base is operated, where we're going to be going to heal and such between fights. So the Peninsula Power is over here, and hopefully we will survive. Oh, that's a lot of guys. Okay, this is going to take a little while. So I think we'll for now, I'm going to tell you about what we're going to be talking about. Basically, we're going to look at the idea of games with stories. We're going to answer the following questions. Do video games need stories? And what kind of games do need a story, if games do need a story? And what can good storytelling do for video games? It's pretty straightforward questions, I think, and the answers are probably about as straightforward, but maybe not obvious. I'm sure there's some people out there that believe that, every game should have a story, and some people out there that just want gameplay. And I would say both those people's opinions are very valid, but probably unrealistic. And I'll tell you why as soon as I get to wherever the heck it is we're going, which I think is over here? I don't know. I'm poisoned. Don't worry, audience. This is not that long a walk. There's spiders in the way. Get out of the way, spiders. I got things to do. Arachnid. Not tough arachnid. There we go, we got him. One round, I guess he wasn't that tough. Okay, now we gotta unpoison our guy with a pure. There you go, sir. And, do we need healing? No, we're okay. But we do need to reorder our group, because now our monk is in the front, and that's not going to work out. He has very poor defense. There we go. Okay. Now, I think this is not the right place. This is actually an alternate area that is not where we want to be. But I'm going to go up here just to be sure. Wait, no, this is it, yeah. So, all the way at the very end of this peninsula is an area where there are stronger monsters. Most people believe that these stronger monsters are here on accident. They weren't actually supposed to be here. You're not really supposed to fight them until after you've defeated the next boss and gotten to a new area where monsters of this strength are common. Then you could theoretically fight them then. But right now, we're still kind of stuck in the first little sea area, the first landmass. Oh, come on, guys. There's just some ogres. You can do it. Yeah. Learn by example, guys. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to need a harder layer of enemies if we're going to be leveling up. There's level 8. On some of my attempts to get through the next episode of Joel Adventures, I got to level 8 just walking to the boss. So we're really looking for level 9 here, which is 2,400 experience away. Woohoo! So here we are. We're at the Peninsula Power. So now we're going to begin our discussion. Do video games need stories? No! Alright, next question. No, I'm just kidding. Technically, video games do not require a story. In fact, some of the best video games ever have no story, like Tetris and Pong. There's no story to Pong. Oh, the monsters here are strong. I wonder if I'm just gonna get killed. No, not instantly killed. Okay, that's pretty good. Wii Sports has no story. Most sports games have no story inherently. Let's see. Now, not every game can get by with no story at all, whatsoever. In fact, most video games have at least some kind of story. I guess we'll do one guy at a time here, in terms of our combat focus. Yeah, most video games have at least a thread of a story, even if they don't have a huge narrative. But not every game needs a story. The ones that don't have to get by on pure gameplay and aesthetics, and that's cool. But, you know, that's good for them. You know, these games are able to get by on just gameplay. You know, games like Tetris can do that. But, you know, there are other games that don't, but when we think of those games, we must ask ourselves, what kind of games need a story? And are we going to even finish one fight in this episode with these guys? Everybody's getting beat up. Okay, hold on. I gotta think somewhat strategically here. I'll put our potions on our thief because he's getting beat up pretty bad. The nice thing is, as soon as this fight's done, we can walk down to where it's safer for the walk back to the inn, which we're probably going to have to make several times till we gain some levels. Come on, guys, give it the program. Our fighters are doing okay because they're not taking as much damage, but the other two guys, whenever they get hit, it's pretty severe. There we go. So what kind of games need a story? The short answer is long games. Games where you're investing a lot of time into playing them. Why do longer games need a story? Because long games tend to be repetitive, and a good story pulls in the player, makes them want to find out what happens next. Because the gameplay is not going to keep them there. This guy's not doing so good. Okay, let's do a little bit of healing. This round, we'll just have this one guy attack, and everybody else is going to heal our fighter. This is going to be probably a lengthy episode because of how hard these fights are. I have to keep looking away from my notes. A few game genres almost always have a story. Adventure games, role-playing games, they usually do. In fact, most of them are story-focused. The story is what you're there for. Hold on. Gotta choose my actions. Okay. These guys, games where they're story-focused, the story is what you're there for. It's what leads the game. Instead of there being a passive series of story bits between scenes, that's actually what the game is. The game is the story. And those games are cool. You know, I like a game with a lot of story. In the last 20 years, the video game industry has grown up quite a bit, and the focus on storytelling has intensified quite a bit. Man, why are my guys all getting their butts kicked so bad? Heal, fight. No, everybody needs to heal this round. Heal him, and heal him. It seems like we're getting hit harder the less zombies there are. Quit killing my guys! Alright, nowadays, all but the most hardcore purist arcade style and casual style games have some kind of story. Even if it's just, you know, a vague mishmash of ideas. There's something usually there. Even some of the most weirdest games would have some kind of story to them. You know, games like Dr. Mario, that game didn't have to have a story. Let's see how we're doing here. Come on, guys. Come on, we could be one of them. One group of bad guys. Maybe it's not worth it for the amount of time we're investing into this one fight. We better get a buttload of EXP. So, yeah, my opinion is that mostly long games need a story. Because a short game, you're going to be done with it before you really care about a story. It's like, the game's done. That's it. Alright, guys, the final push. We're going to get this guy. Come on. Come on. And, okay. So that takes us to our last question. What can good storytelling do for video games? Good storytelling. Not just any old story, but good storytelling. No, not magic. Potion. Wow, we went through almost all our potions in this one fight. We are so wimpy. We're going to have to go back to town just to get more potions. Yeah, not quite ready for this area, I guess. But hopefully we'll get, like, a whole bunch of EXP. There we go. Yeah! Okay, that was ridiculous. 780 experience, even divided amongst our 4 guys. That's pretty good, actually, because we only need, like, 2,000 to level up. That's, like, 4 or so fights, but we got so beat up, went through so many of our heals, I don't think we can afford to do another fight there. Instead, we're going to go back to town, go to the inn, and buy some more potions, and maybe during the walk we'll get some experience as well. So, what can storytelling do for video games? Let's get back to the point at hand. Now, we'll target our bad guys here first. Targeting. Okay. Video games surpassed all other forms of media in terms of gross and adjusted profits years ago. Video games are bigger than TV, bigger than motion pictures, bigger than music or literature. There is a phrase that a certain superhero beat to death about responsibility. You know who I'm talking about. He says it all the time in every one of his iterations. It gets kind of tedious. Now is the time for the video game industry to flex its muscle and create meaningful content. Video games are the current pinnacle of media evolution. Seriously, this is it. Yeah, not this one. This one represents an early stage, but in their current form. Hold on, let me see what I'm doing here. I don't do a lot of walking in Joel Grinds usually. This is a slightly advanced Joel Grinds, I guess. Oh, Guana, you're silly looking. Okay. Now, game designers are just now beginning to explore the near infinite potential of video games their potential to maybe better society, or at least to be a great form of human expression. Areas such as education, art, decision-making, critical thinking are just some of the obvious real-world areas that video games can touch on. Okay, we lived! Wait, what? If you take a good game and you wrap a good story in it, I don't know, this metaphor might be not so good. Hold on here. Okay. If you take your story that you want to tell and wrap it in an engrossing game, take a really good game, but then also put a good story into it. You know, if you can do both, then you're going to really pull in your audience, and that allows for a game that people are going to remember for a long time afterwards. Oh, buying items. This is kind of like grinding too, in my opinion. 3 and 4, and now we're just going to buy a bunch of heals. You can show your players life mysteries. You can let them ponder them, you can move them emotionally, help them to explore their own thoughts and emotions, and real-world issues with a good story in a game. The game keeps them there, but the story, it might enlighten them a little bit. A great story can help us to reflect on the human condition. Let a human live out the story, and I think the essence of the message and theme will strike closer to home than just from, being passive, watching a movie or reading a book. Experiencing the story as opposed to observing the story will allow the deeper messages to strike a bit more closer to home than just seeing it at a distance. But in order for this to work, the game cannot suck. That's the real thing, is you can write the greatest story ever and attach it to a game. But if that game is crap, then that's not really going to help you out. You have to have a good game to attach your story to. At least an okay game. I mean, if you just take your story and wrap it around a whatever game, then who's going to play it? You know, you need the hardcore gamers to get into that game and say this is a good game, to get its numbers up so that the casual people even give it a try. And I think that story in game is one of the few areas that has been left, that is still evolving. An area that is yet to be explored very well by the designers of games. There's a lot of great story options out there that haven't even been looked at. A lot of great human emphasis that we could find in games that have yet to really been explored at all. A lot of important subjects that could be looked at, and I think we're just scratching the surface. You know, graphically, sound-wise, games have pretty much reached their pinnacle. I mean, yeah, they're going to look more and more real and sound better and better. but there's not much more that can be done there in terms of improvements. We're just going to be making, minor improvements to what's out there. Gameplay, I think there's still a lot of things that can be explored in terms of gameplay. But story, I think, is the one with the most potential. There's so many kinds of stories left to be told in video games. Most video games are adventure stories. And there's all kinds of other stories out there that you don't see a lot of in games, especially in America. I mean, Japan has kind of explored some of the other options in terms of what a story in a game can be. They do a lot of dating games and simulation games that aren't just simulating like a city or a world or an army. They simulate a lot of weird things. Like, I think in Japan they had a bus driver simulator. And that was like 15 years ago. And I think there's still a lot of room out there for all kinds of different interesting games. And I hope to share a lot of them with you here on the channel. Games with good stories, games with no stories, and maybe we'll all learn something. Or not, who knows. But either way, we're in it together, and we're going to kick some butt and buy some potions one at a time, although they're called heals in this one. Okay, that's as many potions I'm going to subject you guys to. How many did I end up buying? Oh, 99, great. Okay. Whoop, I think I just used one. Okay, whatever. Alright, so we've pretty much run out our clock, and I think we managed to fight one battle on the Peninsula Power, but we get so much EXP there that another 2 or 3 battles would be enough to level us up, which is pretty cool. So we're going to get ourselves over here to the door, so we'll be ready to leave for another episode in the future. And with that, I will say, our topic has been sharpened, and our adventurers are stronger. So until next time, keep your wit sharp and your blade sharper. Farewell.